James Gilliland, Transcendence, a Quantum Leap. In Evolution, a guide to universal peace, brothers, sisterly love, individual freedom, and prosperity for all. What is God? It is best to begin at the beginning. It is said that mankind is created in the same image and likeness of God. On earth, man created God in his images based on historical experiences and the misinterpretations of mostly men using their reference points, symbols, and understandings of the time. Interactions with little g gods going back millions of years. The pantheons of lesser gods that once ruled the earth. Before moving forward, we have to observe this information with the Buddha mind or fresh mind. Unattached and open-minded, otherwise you will get caught up in a false historical trap of misunderstandings and misinterpretations. We cannot capsulize the omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent God in words, in a book, or in the intellect. That is why it is written, "You search the scriptures in vain, for I speak of a living God." All we can do is attempt to give the most unlimited definition we can, with no divisions according to our own understanding and limitations. There is always more, a more expanded understanding waiting to unfold. God is the one consciousness that encompasses all consciousness on all planes and dimensions throughout the multiverse. It is the unified field in which all that is sprang forth, the ongoing process of creation, preservation, and destruction. Many flinch at the word destruction because they identify with the temporary, in most cases, body and personality. In truth, we are eternal souls going through a process of death and rebirth within the unified field, choosing timelines and dimensions upon which to express. We are vast cosmic travelers trapped into thinking we are a body and a personality. In God's most unlimited expression, it is pure, unconditional love, joy, and bliss. It is the spark waiting to be ignited into the full flame within everyone. It doesn't have an ego to judge. It is beyond judgment expressed in the words, "Neither do I judge thee, nor does my Father judge thee. Go and sin no more." Referring to an all-loving, all-forgiving God beyond judgment. What is being expressed is we judge ourselves. Karma is recorded in our own souls as wounds, traumas, and wrong conclusions from past experiences. The unforgiven. We have to forgive ourselves. Gain wisdom from the experience, releasing the emotional charge. Allow the experiences to settle in the soul as wisdom. Not doing so only creates repeat performances. Forgiveness is automatic because the all-loving, all-forgiving God does not have an ego. We live in an action-reaction world, the plane of demonstration where consciousness creates reality. We magnetize people and events to us according to our consciousness, our actions and beliefs in the world in which we live. The path to enlightenment and ascension is the path of personal responsibility. Personal discipline. The path of being a victim is another path, a dark road ending in more victimization, a misuse of free will. The way off that path is forgiveness. Forgive yourself for creating the event, others for participating. Ignite the spark through prayer and meditation. Focus on and create the world in which you want to live, releasing the past. Redirect your mind, heart, and soul, bringing everything into alignment with the all-loving, all-forgiving God within. That is when the miracles happen. Freedom begins with loving yourself enough to set boundaries not from a wounded ego. The real power is beyond the ego, connecting to the loving, joyous, blissful God-Goddess within. The enlightened masters of the world all say God is within, internal. Most religions in error focus on an external God acting as go-betweens. Some seek power over others, some material gain, few empowering the individual to make their own personal connection. Perpetuating images in worshiping external gods is a disservice, disempowering, and a distraction from making one's own personal God connection. Again, the external images of God were due to historical interactions in the past with the lesser gods. Some were spiritually advanced, some were mentally and scientifically advanced, yet spiritually backwards. That is why you have so many contradictions as to the nature of God. Focus on the love, joy, and bliss within, preferably in nature until you become it. Live according to universal law, universal peace, brother/sisterly love, individual freedom and prosperity for all. Hold your leadership accountable to the same principles. That is the path to planetary awakening and healing. the path to transcendence. It is also necessary to join our galactic family, the greater family of man-woman throughout the multidimensional galaxy. Enlightened masters often say the reason there are so few enlightened ones is because it is so simple. Get out in nature, focus on love, joy, and bliss until you become it. Lose the complexity of your mind and gain your soul. Bring all aspects of self into alignment with the God within. Many require more understanding of the historical misunderstandings of God. Knowing the true history of Earth helps one to understand how things went astray. There were advanced off-world visitors coming and going on Earth for over 600 million years. There are glass-lined tunnels dated back from 300 million to 600 million years old. There are pyramids beneath the pyramids and other megalithic structures. Almost everything on Earth is much older than believed. Always remember there is a lie in Be Live A. Remember that as we go forward, your history is riddled with lies. His story, as recorded by the victors, altered due to the motives of the ones overseeing the recording. The Earth is much older. Carbon dating is off due to times when there was a very thick cloud cover that covered the Earth. It was a constant 74 degrees. There was no ice. Due to the carnivores, snakes, and insects of the time, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and tsunamis of a young planet, the surface was a very dangerous place. The first colonial outposts from the stars were underground with limited interactions on the surface, much of which was swamp. There was no moon, no tides, and the terraformers were not present yet. Your history has a time when there was no moon, 2 moons, then back to 1. The moons were terraforming platforms for advanced races some billions of years old. There was a human evolving naturally on Earth, as on all planets that can support life. We did not descend from apes. Our DNA is older than Earth. We are the byproduct of genetic tinkering of a human developing naturally and advanced visitors from the stars. Native Americans refer to those who came from the heavens as the Star Nations. The first colonies were the ancient Lyrans known as the Anunnaki. Those who, from heaven, came to Earth, they are the most ancient ancestors we know of. They were a highly evolved spacefaring race. The average height was 24 feet tall. They built temples in stone, had a hierarchical system, and were very advanced in genetic engineering. They were the creators of many of the half-animal, half-man myths which actually existed. Many could not reproduce or were hunted into extinction, as were the giants. They had a flaw in their civilization in which they always rose to great heights, divided, got into power struggles, and used weapons beyond imagination on each other. There were other races on the Earth, humanoid felines, reptilians, and a host of others, now buried under the ice due to pole shifts. The humanoid felines were known as the protectors of the gods. They operated from a very high level of integrity. When the Anunnaki fell from universal law and got into power struggles, they left, returning to Lyra and Sirius. The feline races were referred to as Narshringa, Narisha, or Sekhmet in Indian and Egyptian lore. The peaceful Lyrans who held the universal law left before the fall and continued to evolve some up to the 6th dimension. One of their outposts was Nibiru. It has a red sun and is in a very wide elliptical orbit around our sun. Almost all solar systems have binary suns. Their first colonies were in Australia. Their ancient gold mines exist to this day. From there, they moved to Africa. They set up dynasties ending with half-Lyran, half-human pharaohs and kings. The Lyrans were very tall and had elongated skulls. Their half-human offspring as well, to one degree or another. It represented royalty, thus was born the practice of cradleboarding. Those with the elongated skulls were considered royalty. The gold from the breastplates of the pharaohs originated in Australia. The history of the Anunnaki's presence on Earth is held with the Aboriginals. It is also written in stone in sacred sites. Gosford glyphs is one. It shows star glyphs showing the landing of their craft, adding their DNA to the Denisovan man to create workers to mine the gold. There are also hieroglyphs of a story where 2 brothers, sons of a pharaoh from Egypt, went to Australia to reclaim the lost knowledge after the fall written on special stones. They were told not to take the knowledge by the elders. They refused to listen. One was bitten by a poisonous snake. The other went down with the ship due to a massive storm. It is all written in stone. The second attempt to colonize Earth was from the Pleiades. The problem the ancient Lyrans had, evolving to a very high level of science, separating and getting into power struggles, also unfolded on ancient Lyra. They almost blew up their entire planet in one such war. The peaceful Lyrans left and started colonies in the Orion and Pleiades systems. The Orion system was a very hostile system with reptilians, greys, a few other races that did not live according to universal law, some in total opposition. There are many references to the wars of Orion that spilled over to Earth, now in the process of being cleaned up. The Pleiadians were the second recorded colonies coming to Earth. They created the colonies of Atlantis and Lemuria. They are honored by indigenous people around the world. Native Americans, Hawaiians, Philippine, Tibetan, African elders from around the world point to the Pleiades as their origins. As their ancestors, they rose to great heights, divided and fell from universal law. The Atlanteans' technology superseded their spirituality, and they used it to dominate, control, and destroy the Lemurians. The Lemurians were a constant reminder of their fall from grace, so they saw them as a threat to their empire. They sent their ships with their beam weapons to destroy Lemuria. They melted their cities down, becoming the green glass underneath the Gobi Desert. The Lemurians, who were also spacefaring, responded by guiding a meteor to hit Atlantis, creating what you now call the Atlantic Ocean. There were other star nations attracted to Atlantis and Lemuria, making them their home. They got caught up in the Great Wars as well. The Atlanteans also used their lasers to take out the remaining dinosaurs. This cracked the earth in some places and dropped the firmament, the thick cloud cover causing one of the great floods. A pole shift later removed most of the survivors. Many went into the interior, inner Earth, to survive and live there to this day. Thus the legends of inner Earth. They joined other civilizations, some less dense physically, continuing to evolve alongside the Elven, Fairy, and other kingdoms existing there to this day. There is much more to the story. We are just telling you this so you can remember, recognize the patterns that ended previous civilizations. Also educate the masses as to their multidimensional selves and the multidimensional universe in which they live, filled with life. There are primitive planets evolving throughout the multiverse, and planets with civilizations billions of years old flying by Earth on regular occasions to check in on the status of our evolution. Most keep to themselves because of our aggressive, competitive nature. The lack of unity, morally and integrity challenge leaders, governments, and institutions, those perpetuating false narratives to control the masses. 3-Eye Atlas is just one of many of these events. They scan the Earth, all institutions, governments, religious agencies, military assets, our infrastructure, and came to the conclusion that as a planet we are not ready to join a galactic federation. What does that tell you about who is in charge of contact? There was contact with governments in 1945 and agreements made. A choice was made between spiritually, technologically advanced beings, the Nordics or Pleiadians, our ancient ancestors. The other group was with the Orion Alliance, a malevolent consortium of reptilians, greys, and other degenerate races that operate outside of universal law. There were stipulations. The Nordics said we had to get rid of nuclear weapons. They affect the fabric of space. The Orion Malevolent Group said, if you let us experiment on your people, we will give you the technology. Choosing to side with the degenerate races without the consent of the people led to worldwide abductions, experimentations, torture and death, perpetuating war, disease and poverty. Yet the war and disease profiteers at the time got their weapons. We are at another crossroads and the offer has been made again. Choose universal law which will put an end to war, disease, and poverty, create a quantum leap in evolution, or take the downward spiral allowing the global elite's perpetuation of war, disease, and poverty, creating a downward spiral in evolution ending in total societal and environmental collapse. The same patterns that led to the demise of previous civilizations. Your DNA is a combination of DNA from the stars combined with humans evolving naturally, along with stranded star nations adding to the gene pool. The ancient memories are stored in your DNA as cellular memory, along with the soul memory, a vast collection of experience both on Earth and off-world. Did you know DNA is always communicating? Little antennas connected to the stars. When you are quiet and listen within, you can feel it, hear messages from the stars. The reason for bringing this knowledge forward is to put an end to the external, jealous, wrathful God image used to promote fear, guilt, and unworthiness, separating humanity from God and dividing the masses. Opening the door to the internal God within, the all-loving, all-forgiving God. End division and bring unity to the masses. We all were created by the same Creator. We are all family. We were divided throughout history by kings and religions, the ruling elite that perpetuated false images, divisions, and understandings. We are all children of God, one big family. A German mystic once said, "If nut seeds produce nut trees, fruit seeds produce fruit trees." What do God seeds produce? Becoming one with God, igniting the spark into the full flame and expanded states of awareness through prayer and meditation has always been the path of the masters, saints, and sages. Your soul is connected to God. It rests in an electrical chamber next to the heart. It is through the soul that one expands throughout the vibrational continuum and merges with God/Creator/Great Spirit. This information is not the end-all or cover everything. It is just showing those who seek the truth where to look. The extremely advanced off-worlders on 3i Atlas delivered two powerful messages. 1, we are not and never have been alone in the multiverse. 2, we have to rise to the occasion, live according to universal law. Until then, we are not ready. What better way to start a movement towards transcendence? According to them, transcendence is the only way out, the only way to make contact. Transcendence is not for everyone, nor is everyone ready for contact. I do, however, know there is a plan. The ships are here in every size, shape, and color, some from other dimensions. There are fleets. They will continue to make themselves known. It will be undeniable. Disclosure will come from the skies, not from governments, religions, or the controlled narrative governing ufology. One day they will all uncloak. It will look as though they are jockeying for parking space. The skies will light up, night will become day. They will add their consciousness and energy to the collective. These days of denial and deceit will come to a close. Humanity will once again stand in knowledge of its own divinity. Transcending war, disease, poverty, and the enslavement of the tyrants. The sacred senses of telepathy, direct knowing, clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience are all being activated. The more you engage them, the more you pray and meditate, the stronger they become. The veils between worlds are getting thinner. With the expanded awareness comes personal responsibility to keep yourself clear. Heal any unseen negative energies and maintain sacred space. Become an active participant in the Great Awakening. It is closer than you think. Healing negative influences. Creating sacred space and healing any unseen negative influences is first and foremost if you desire to ascend. It is said on the path to nirvana, Christ or Buddha consciousness, the demons will rear their ugly heads. They will work through unconsciousness, friends, family, lovers influencing them to distract you on your path to enlightenment. We must transcend the need for love, acceptance, and approval externally and find it from within. Our own personal God/Creator/Great Spirit connection maintained through prayer, meditation, and clearing unseen negative influences. Always remember, there are very few who can see your divinity, who you really are. Most cannot see past their own projections and be-life systems. It is also best to use universal law as a tool for discernment. Universal peace, brother-sisterly love, individual freedom and prosperity for all. Even better, hold your leaders to it. Social consciousness does not support divine Christ consciousness. Having expectations of external support is where many miss the mark. You all have your own unique soul purpose. Anyone who is not empowering you to make your own personal connection to God/Creator/Great Spirit is creating a distraction, a division from the omnipresent God within. External worship, giving our power away to others, is how things went astray in the past. Be it a king, government, or religious institution, in most cases in service to self rather than in service to others. This will all be revealed in the days to come. Here are the tools to clear unseen negative influences. 1. I call on the beautiful many enlightened masters, saints, and sages. You can insert Jesus, the House of Mary, Kuan Yin, Baba Ji, the archangels. Just be sure who you call on comes in the name of the Christ from Christ or Buddha consciousness. 2. We welcome all in love and light, those in need of healing. You are healed and forgiven, lifted and enlightened. Repeat this line as many times as you feel necessary. 3. You are filled with the Christ light, and the Christ love. We ask the beautiful many to take you to your perfect place. If you have a persistent negative entity, you can ask them if they come in the name of the Christ, then have Jesus, Yeshua ben Yosef is his real name, or the archangels, to take them to their perfect place. There can be multiple entities to clear. In some cases, people in ignorance allow them in. If they resist, you have to persist. Keep clearing until the energy feels clear. Some people use salt around the perimeter, burn sage or Palo Santo. Doing this along with healing prayer is an added benefit. Intent is 9/10 of the law. You can adjust this prayer to what works for you. I have seen people totally butcher the prayer and it still worked. These healing techniques, world healing meditations, are all on the website ascidi.org for more understanding. We have a saying, if you don't like what you are feeling, do a healing. Clear your family, friends, home, and business. You cannot create enough sacred space. Do not worry about trespassing. Any unseen negative influences are already trespassing, and people can always refuse the healing. Always be sure the motive is not manipulating. The mind in which you seek is the mind in which you connect. Help us get the message out and keep the Ascidi Stargate shows and centers going. Any donations are greatly appreciated. Imagine if enough people did clearings on a regular basis and initiated help from on high cleaning up these dark realms and entities. Permission given to share this far and wide. Godspeed, James Gilliland.